Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time podcast, presented exclusively on the Chop Sports Channel, the premier streaming network. We are recording this on Monday, July 3rd. I am your host, Laurent Cortines. In this episode, Chris joins me again. We talk all the transfers. We talk Pochettino. We talk holier-than-thou Liverpool and Gerrard's move to the Saudi Arabian League. But first, we're going to find out a whole lot about my Liverpool hatred and all that, and it's coming up in the show right after this. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the show. Like, share, and subscribe. It makes all the difference in the world, and we're going to get to the show in a minute, but if you're not liking and subscribing to the show, then I'm not sure that we can be friends. I'm just kidding, but Chris and I have really worked hard bringing a new version of the show, a new thing for the next season, and I hope that you enjoy it. So please give us a share, give us a like, and we'll hear from you in just a minute.
We got a lot going on, and a lot of topics.
We do.
We kind of we select all these topics that are trending, but of course, you never know how the show can go. One thing I will do, just to start, because I know this is gonna I'm gonna get a kick out of you, and is I'm going to change this and this background of mine, and because we have a WhatsApp group that I'm a part of. And you've been ranting nonstop about Liverpool, man. What has Liverpool done that? If you can watch on YouTube, you can actually watch it on Spotify as well. But you can listen to it on his podcast on all platforms.
What's the under over? What's the under over on holier than thou comments about Liverpool?
Yeah, man. What's up? You think Liverpool is a holier than thou
than thou fan base? Okay, let's go through it, and I don't want to go, and this is not like real hate. This is just sport hate.
No, you hate Liverpool, man. Listen, I think you hate Liverpool more than you hate United. Being a City fan, I don't get it.
Yes, because I'm not threatened by United, because they're easy to beat, and since I've been watching City, they beat United all the time. I've never been afraid of United, even as Ferguson was going down and they were sort of in their decline. They weren't even good that season. They gave up tons of goals. They had signed Van Persie, and they were just sort of gasping at air. And the institution of United won that last championship. But since then, David Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Rangnick, Ole, they've never been a threat to City at all. Won a couple games here and there, but I was never worried about United. Sure, there's been some games won here and there, but whatever.
But you've been worried about Liverpool
under Klopp that has been a war of just like, not only do the games matter, they have been, I call them El Nuevo Clásico. They are the biggest game in European football where you get the best football, right?
Yeah.
Not last season, but some of those games between City and Liverpool are just elevated. And as I talk about them, the hair on my arm stand up.
Yep.
That's how big the games are. And some of those games, especially Anfield, and if you've listened to my show in the past on Squeaky Bum Time podcast with Mike, we've gone through just like Anfield will take you and swallow you into the ground and destroy your soul.
That's true.
You saw it with Barcelona. City on multiple occasions have gone. You even Real Madrid were almost got it. Like they gave up 3 goals, and then they were like, wait a minute, this Liverpool side's terrible. And they came back and beat them. But those moments when you get destroyed by Liverpool at Anfield, you feel so small and helpless, and it makes you hate them. You're like, these fucking bastards. They're terrible. They can't play. You go to Anfield, and the ghosts of freaking of all the Liverpool sides, of Shankly, of You Never Walk Alone, and you get sucked in, and you're just like, this is bullshit. I hate this, and you feel terrible.
So you basically
and it happened.
I hate them. You hate them, but you admire them. I mean,
of course, it's a lot of respect. They pushed us to the edge. That's the way real hate comes, right? Like, it's from the mutual respect of just like, they're so good. If we don't beat them, we're gonna lose. And listen, 2 Premier League championships, both teams over 95 points, where City won both of them by 1 point. Do you know what the difference of one is in a team going to win a title? It's nothing. Liverpool, without all their money, without blah, 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 this is where the sanctimony comes in. With all the Hillsborough, with all the bullshit that goes with Liverpool, they push City to the edge. And I appreciate that, because City would never be what they are without Liverpool pushing them.
So
And so
I feel like you're a fan
for pushing. Yeah,
I feel like you're a fan.
no, respect.
Dang, man,
respect.
that's crazy. I actually have not
respect, like Mourinho. Respect.
I have not yet seen a City fan that hates the other club more than United. I mean, that's actually interesting, man. That's interesting.
Well, it's not. There's nothing to fear. Because I don't have the. I don't have the start. I'm not.
But United.
I'm not from Manchester. I didn't go to school every day and get abused by somebody who's a Manchester United fan. So for me, my pain has just been in the competition side of things.
Okay. Well, let's get started with it, and let's talk about another big club, and that is Chelsea, and they got just Mauricio Pochettino. Poche, they got him into the club, and a lot of people are talking about what his interview, and they said that he stuck his foot in his mouth. And I mean, basically he said Chelsea is the biggest club in England. And in this particular league, it's a tough one, because you have at least 5 that can arguably say that. And ultimately, fans are going to say their team. That is what it is. And I feel like that's kind of, even though he's not a Chelsea fan, no matter what he says, I mean, what is he going to say? Is the second best? I mean, what is he supposed to say? Maybe I think what he did was the Argentinian way of talking. And Argentinians, they do this a lot of times. They have to pick a side, either Boca, River Plate. They have to pick a side all the time, and they go hard at it. I don't think England is ready for this type of talk.
Yeah. I mean, so we spent a lot of time on Spurs, because my old partner Mike is a big Spurs fan, and he completely adored Mauricio Pochettino. And I think that early rise.
But go ahead. I had a question now.
That 16-17 era of Pochettino, 17-18, when Spurs were rising, was some of the most lovable football you could see. It was Bielcisma mixed with whatever Pochettino was doing in English football, and it gave us a rise. And I think the thing that Pochettino was just sort of trying to relay, of saying, Chelsea are the most successful team over the last 15 or 20 years. I think it's not that hyperbolic. I think if you go from the Abramovich era and you go to the Mourinho and you go to that Champions League and 2 Champions Leagues since the takeover in 2004, that's a legitimate argument, right? Like, they have 2 Champions Leagues since that takeover. Only Liverpool have 2 since then, right? So, and maybe it's hyperbolic. Maybe he's also talking about the catalyst of change. Abramovich changed English football. So in terms of influence, in terms of ushering in an era, it is Chelsea that ushers in the era that we're in now. That new money, that whatever you think about it, that Russian money, oil money, City comes 5 years later. You have the whole concept of financial doping. You have Arsenal freaking out and being like, oh my God, we have to move to Highbury. We have to leave Highbury and go to the Emirates. You have the whole change. You have all of it. Comes at the start. Chelsea is the line that starts from. So they are something big. And I know my friend Fred Sarasso, who's gets a shout out on this show, a huge Chelsea fan. His deep hatred is for Spurs. He has that London hatred. And so there's a lot of rivalries. There's a lot of arguing about which team is the biggest club in London, let alone in England. So Chelsea have a war to fight with Arsenal. Arsenal, I think, historically are the biggest club in London. I don't think that's an argument at all. But it's good. It makes for good fodder. It makes for good podcast comments. It makes for good we could stop the show right here and just do a London ranking of which teams are the biggest teams.
Well,
And I'm going to put Brentford at number 4.
no, okay.
That's just my line.
But
right
we I mean, we could, and maybe that is a good episode for the future. But I'm saying,
Yeah.
Listen, I think Chelsea has what it takes to be considered the greatest in England. I mean, listen. Well, first of all, I want to say,
They can get there. Sure, everyone can
I
get
want to
there.
say the greatest in the United Kingdom. I mean, I'm not going to put it's the Celtics above anybody. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
The battle for British supremacy, and let's all
it's all in England.
You know what it is. It's Liverpool and Manchester United. Those are the two biggest teams in England. They're very close in championships, and that's the only argument.
But Champions League is of course being taken by my people back here. Listen, man, you got to take it. Stop. You listen, Laurent. You're not alone. You're never gonna walk alone, man. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to come to this side. You can still be a fan. You know what I mean, of Manchester City. But listen, I don't think it's even debatable. At this point, it's something that he says because he wants to get the fans on his back. I mean, it is what it is, you know. And he has he has data to prove that.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot. Aside from they have all the data. I think the thing that was interesting about Pochettino that he brought up was an immediate mentality shift, an immediate level of leadership, even through, I don't think his English is that bad. His English is pretty good, but I'm sure in Spanish is probably much, much better, more strong. But even with his, English as a second language, still very passionate, very clear. Like, the guys I have here are guys that I want, and anyone who doesn't want to be here can go. Like, he was talking about mentality. He was talking about connecting the group together, connecting the club. That's really what he was trying to do, is get that alignment that's been missing from Chelsea, from the board to the director of football, to the coach, to the players, to the fans, right? It's not connected right now.
Well,
and he's the first step.
They're getting
hopefully Bowley and Pochettino are connected.
They're getting ready.
Now he's got to get the players connected.
Yeah, they're getting rid of everybody. They just got rid of Mount. He's going to Manchester United, and there's talks about Caicedo coming, but there's actually no bids. There's just talks, and they're actually looking at another player instead of him. That might be a lot cheaper from Lazio. But listen, Pochettino, what he said is what it is. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, I know people are blowing up.
It's called summer.
Media, yeah. There's nothing else to talk about. But what's interesting, I want to see. I think Chelsea has fallen behind on everything. I think they've fallen behind. I've never seen a club that as soon as my phone a couple weeks ago or a month ago or whatever. It's unorganized, like Lampard. He was an interim. He was a head of football. He possibly could join, and instead of sounded Marcelo Gallardo from River Plate at one point sounded for Chelsea, and then Lampard. Like, I've never seen Lampard. What is he? Is he next thing you know, he might be fixing the bathrooms at the bridge? What's happening? You know, they use his name a lot, and he lets them. To be honest with you.
I think the thing that we underestimate about what happened to Chelsea was, on the surface, it always looked like Stamford Bridge is there, they're wearing blue, the shirts are there, the players are there. I think that Abramovich thing was bigger than anyone will ever know. You essentially lost an entire club, was gutted. Another piece that wasn't reported on a lot was they actually had a huge harassment thing with their director of marketing. So they had to clean house on everything. So Marina Granovskaya, who is like who should have been elevated as the greatest female executive in world sport, she was taken out. Czech was taken out. So they went to zero. But from the surface, it looked like the same club. But really, they're starting from nothing, which is why Bowley did so badly, which is why Potter had no shot, which is why you had everything just go wrong, because there was nothing, right? It was worse than, say, Ferguson leaving or Wenger leaving. There was no infrastructure. Everything was based on Abramovich and what he had put in place. And once he was gone, they started from zero. So that Pochettino probably is going to have a lot. They're getting there. I think they have their footing now, but I think it was really a shock. And
Well,
so
one of the
I
things
don't see. Yeah, go ahead.
one of the things that's hard in football, and the main reason of why clubs can't get back on their feet is because lack of patience. And the moment
Mm,
that Pochettino loses 3 games in a row, 2 games, let alone just 2 games, and he doesn't
they
perform,
got to hang up. They can't.
fan,
They can't freak out.
you know what I mean? And it is a big club and big pressure. You know, if you lose two games in a row with Brighton, you know, they might give you a raise. And so with Chelsea, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
fans, when fans get used to something, you know what I mean? It's hard, man. It's
yeah.
hard to come. Like you can't tell Real Madrid fans that they're not going to win the Champions League. You know what I
I
mean?
think though, I think that Chelsea fans now understand, right? I think they just went through that with Potter.
Well,
They did a soft, like they hired Frank just so he could lose games and not have it was a PR hiring.
right.
But remember, Frank Lampard lost 7 of 8 down the stretch. They didn't freak out. They didn't fire him. They didn't go for someone else. So I think that they have had that, like, okay, now we have to go forward. Now, I think he'll get a lot of leeway until Christmas. And then after Christmas, I think there'll be an expectation of, yo, it's about progression, right? It's about, what does this team look like? Are they playing Pochettino-y? Is it looking like good Spurs 2017-18? Are the players connecting? Are relationships developing? I think that Chelsea fans are fairly sophisticated, and as long as they can see the pieces of things going together, I think Pochettino will be fine. I mean, it's kind of a no. He's got a kind of a free hit this season. Honestly, I think he'll get at least the first half before anyone starts going. He should be fired, unless he
well,
says ridiculous
well,
things.
one thing that I've seen in the comments of this video from Chelsea that a lot of fans are happy that
Yeah.
they actually getting a coach that has proven something before. Now, just to move
Mm,
on though from this
mhm,
subject, what do you think the
mm.
Tottenham Spurs fans feel when he says that? I mean, it, it wasn't a comment that could have been avoided. Because listen to me, but
Yeah.
before you answer the question, we're all nobody before we're somebody. All of us are
Yeah.
nobodies before we're somebody, and Tottenham gave him a
Yeah.
chance to become
Mm,
known, to go to PSG, to come to
mhm,
Chelsea because he
mhm,
didn't do anything at PSG. You know, let's be
mhm.
clear. So, what do you think about that?
Um, I think that ultimately Pochettino and almost any coach that goes through Spurs always has the buffer of Levy. Levy elevates himself and puts himself between fan ire and the coach. Levy is the one who gets the slings and arrows. Levy is the one who goes through a window and doesn't sign any players when Pochettino had the team finish in second place. Levy is the one who didn't uh, back him when they should have sold Ericsson and didn't buy anyone. So Pochettino gets a pass. I think most
Yeah.
Spurs fans are appreciative of the time they had. They went to the final. They have Ajax, which was one of the great moments that you can watch. It was an amazing moment that I spent in a bar here in San Diego. So I don't think Spurs have any ill will. Sure, frustrated that he's at. Yeah, I think there's some group of them that are, but I think that they understand football. There was a break, and it wasn't directly from Spurs to Chelsea. I think a lot of history within Spurs for their players moving on to bigger and better, right? You still have Modric out there doing it. They still have Berbatov who went to United. There's so many different players, so many different iterations of players. Even Saul Campbell, that was the one Judas who went to Arsenal. So
Well,
I think they
says
know how
Fabregas, I don't think he'll ever be forgotten by most Arsenal fans.
to. Yeah. I don't think that Spurs fans really hurt that much about Pochettino. They just have
Yeah,
focused on their team. I think now, especially some of the moves they've been making are interesting. Madison coming through. We'll see the offer from Bayern is there now for Kane. I think it makes sense for Kane. He's about as Lewandowski is.
yeah.
So interesting stuff. It's now on Levy, and I think Spurs fans will turn on him if a big number comes of like a 80 million or a 90 million, and Levy goes, no, we're not selling it. Maybe he's going to try and squeeze that one more season out of him, but we'll see.
Okay, so let's move on to somebody that made a U-turn in quickly. Kind of what we were talking about, says Fabregas. Fabregas said, I will never join another club in England. And he joined the rival. So Steven Gerrard said last week, I am not going to Saudi Arabian side any club. I'm not going. And on our chat, I said, listen, all of us would. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is obviously that he made a statement. When you make a statement and you're so sure about it, you can't just do the opposite and not be criticized. So Steven Gerrard is going to Al-Ettifaq. I mean, they're all start with Al.
Fuck? Excuse me?
after making a huge U-turn. So what do you think, man?
Again, the sanctum. I don't have any beef with Gerrard. I think the bigger issue is going to be the Liverpool fans who hold up their club and their players as this gold standard of virtue and goodness. That would never do such a thing, because our Saint Stephen of Gerrard wouldn't go to an oil-rich nation. But yes, he's a man. He's a person. He does have that history. He didn't go to Chelsea historically. He didn't leave Liverpool. He didn't go to City or United or whatever when he played for Liverpool and had the chance. I think the biggest chance, he did really almost go to Chelsea. And then there was a modicum of a chance he might go to Real Madrid. But he did stay in Liverpool. But knowing how Liverpool fans are, and Gerrard being from Liverpool, I don't think he went out of loyalty. He never left Liverpool because he knew, a Scouser knows, he would have been annihilated. They would have turned on him. They would have put freaking statues up,
you think
choking him if he ever went to one of those. Absolutely.
Oh, Chelsea probably, but not Real Madrid.
They turn on their people.
No, you're
like
crazy.
That. I'm not crazy.
No,
Ask the Scouts. They are vengeful, knife-wielding car thieves.
What he said is,
I love you. I love you, my Liverpool friends.
Listen, I'm getting the quote of what he said, and he does leave a small window now. He says
he did. It was kind of like,
as we stand right now, I won't be taking that offer. As we stand right now, well, as we stood earlier,
as we stand right now, i.e.,
he's going.
They gave me an offer for 10 million, but if they give me 20, I'm going.
I mean, hey, they get. Listen, I don't have a problem with him making his decision based on money.
No, I don't.
And it is financial, of course. Because nobody in the right mind, nobody from the Western side, U.S., England, Spain, nobody goes to the Middle East just for the hell of it. Nobody. It has nothing to do with football. Anybody. That's just plain simple.
Well, I mean, we had Xavi was in Qatar coaching before he went to Barca, but maybe he was just doing it to do something in between instead of waiting.
Right. I mean, but because of money. I mean, I don't think that he just, but listen, it is what it is. I don't know why people, this is another thing. People are going nuts.
So this is the thing that I think is interesting about the Gerrard thing, because I really did like him as he came through. I really thought the way he carried himself, some of his interviews, I really rated the fact that he went undefeated at Rangers and dealt with, while not a league that is at the top levels of world football, only like 10th ranked in the world, the Scottish League. Rangers, in terms of fandom, in terms of what it means in Glasgow, is about as toxic as
they want to win.
Your Real Madrids, your Napolis, your Liverpools. Like when you lose, it's the end of the world. So he did go through that. So I thought he had a good understanding, and I thought he did okay in that first season at Villa. But then when I assessed the squad that they had, that Emery ended up taking over, I thought that was a really, really good team, and he performed really, really badly. The best result he had was a draw against City, but otherwise it was a disaster. And then when Emery comes in and completely starts winning, as we expected that team to do, you really gave you a pause about Gerrard to go, whoa. He's not a good coach.
He's definitely, somebody needs to prove himself,
and that's where I have the beef. Like, it's a mistake to do this job. If you really want to prove yourself and really show you've got mettle as a coach,
Well,
and really show the humbleness. You got to go down a level. You do go to Leeds. You do go to Derby. You do go to Blackburn. You go to those teams in the championship where it's a grind. Like, I have a lot of respect for Vincent Company, right? He went to Burnley after Dyche is in there, and he turned that team around. Like, I don't know if anyone knows, but like Burnley are Dyche 4-4-2, get behind the ball, hoof it to a long ball. That's how they played. And Company comes in and completely turns that team around to something else. And now they've got promoted, right? And Gerrard should want to try and do that. And I don't know that he has the coaching chops to do it. Who is his mentor? Who did he learn from? Where is his philosophy? What does he do? I'm not sure that he has anything. He
yeah,
has,
I'm
I'm
not sure
Steven
about that
Gerrard
either.
and you're not.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. I mean, one of the coaches that he was very successful with was Benitez. I don't think that he's
No, that's
that.
Dower. He's a defensive coach, right? Yeah, it was
Uh,
very.
so
I love the interviews with Gerrard and Carragher, who both talk about Benitez. There's this guarded kind of like, I wish he would have just been nicer to me. like all they wanted was him to just be like,
he
"Can you
was tough.
not take a shit on me, please?"
He was
Yeah, he
tough.
was tough.
But um, listen, I think obviously the way he played football, just meaning just because you play great doesn't mean you're gonna be a good coach. But he does. I mean,
No,
the way he played, you can know that he understands the game. You know what I'm saying? But he
of
doesn't mean that you're gonna
course.
be a good manager. But it's frustrating because really you haven't seen that at all anywhere, and that's kind of concerning. You know, could he be one of those?
Well, in Scotland, they did go undefeated, Rangers,
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Okay, yeah. You know, you're right. You're right. Actually, he did do well there. But and it is one of the biggest
but
clubs.
Rangers fans will complain that it was not a tactically
No,
changing team. They kind of just got it done. He had I want to get the name right, but a guy that was his partner, who was the coaching guy, went to another team, ended up going to like QPR or something like that. That was his guy that he was trying that did all the like legwork of the coaching. So until that all goes back together. But again, I want him to succeed. I want one of this generation, one of these golden generation players
but you
to do
realize
well.
how difficult it is. I mean, Frank Lampard, another great
Yeah,
mind. Not really. I mean, he did well. Well, when I say well, I mean I mean, I guess
I thought that first stint
good,
with
but
Chelsea was okay, right? Like he
yeah,
played the kids, he took it on the chin when they had the transfer ban. He played Tammy Abraham, he played Mason Mount,
right,
he got those guys through. They made it to the top 4, which I think was a really
yeah,
huge accomplishment, but it was the second season where it really kind of fell apart.
yeah. So we'll
And
see
the
what
same
happens.
problems that happened this time happen again, yeah.
Cesc Fabregas also another good player. We'll see what happens with him at Como. Uh,
Him, I think it'll work because he's a Masia guy, and all those guys have that
Hey, Frank Lampard
line
and
of
Gerard, they
it's
know what it is to play, man. They have the game in their
and
head.
it's not that deep philosophical Renus Michel's to Cruyff
Yeah, yeah,
thing. It doesn't have that vertically integrated where they were in the same system drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled to like, this is how we play. This is always how we play. This is why we play this way. This is where we have to stand. This is why we have to stand here. This is why you put your front foot forward when you get a pass on the half turn. They don't do that shit. England doesn't have that coaching. It's getting there. Like
yeah,
they may win the under 21 World Cup, England. They're very good. They just put Bellingham in Real Madrid. He wouldn't have been able to do that if he didn't have the tactical sort of brain. But all those older players just don't have that institutional understanding of football coaching and stuff. It's just not there. It'll get there. It's just not there now.
All right. Well, you don't have any trust in Gerard. That's fine.
No.
And
Maybe his next job. We'll see.
not a lot of people. We'll see what I'm not going watching the Saudi Arabian league, so he's gonna have to send highlights.
I will not. I refuse.
He's gonna have to send
Even
highlights.
though like a lot of guys are there.
But
Yeah,
hey,
a lot
that's
of guys.
kind of where it's headed, man. They're gonna be like, listen, somebody's gonna come. We're gonna get names, and some people are gonna start
What a
turning.
problem. what'll happen is, I mean, you ready for my deep cut? This goes a little bit off the guard. What'll happen is one of these sort of streaming sports networks in the U.S. will be faltering. Let's say it's BN or something like that, or Fubo or something, and they will buy it.
They will fall for it.
They will buy the whole thing outright, and they will put their league on it. And then they will pay companies and cable companies to carry their channel, and those games will be on. Right? You think rights fees are they will pay CBS, be like, put the league on. We don't have to pay you? No, we'll pay you to put our league on, right? Oh, you want to be on ESPN Plus? Okay, here's $5 million. Put this game on.
They're going to shove it down people's throats. And eventually they're going to watch. I mean, it is what it is, man. You know that
they're gonna find out that they're gonna spend a lot of money, and no one's gonna care.
Well, they have it. They have it.
They have it. But good luck. Good luck. Good luck. So I wish them luck. I think that. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Finish your point.
The other thing that Manny in our group brought up, he was very smart about, is just like they own multiple teams in their league, which is a really huge red flag.
Yeah.
Of like, what if they want Ronaldo's team to win? What if they want Benzema's team to win? Who decides who gets the team to win? Now, granted, people may not know this. MLS is single entity owned with franchises. And there were always suspicions that they made the LA Galaxy win. And they made, they would allocate a player to a certain city. So you do get problems when you have single entity ownership, which is different from European football entirely. So it is interesting, and they're not independent teams yet. So I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know what model they're trying to follow. If they're trying to follow the NFL, sort of like franchise, sort of central authority. If they're trying to follow the European model where it's fractured, dangerous, teams go up and down. I don't know where they want to go, but if they're trying to do it centralized, people will sniff if it's dirty. So
it's
that's the only worry I'd have.
It's kind of, I don't really get it. I mean, they must be really hardcore football fans because they got all the money in the world. They don't need money. So
World Cup, they want that World Cup.
But I mean, they make so much money of oil. I mean, it feels like they just either want more. I mean, which is okay. But I mean,
do you know who the CEO of Exxon is?
No, one of those guys.
No, exactly. But you might know who the owner of Manchester United is. You know what I mean? So it's ultimately about, it's about glory. Owning a sports team is the coolest thing you can do in all of the world, right? Like that guy who runs Nassar, who runs PSG, that guy opened every door you could ever open just by buying that team that had the word Paris in it, right? Even though Sheikh Mansour doesn't want to be a part of it, City could lift put the UAE on the map just by being owned and winning the Champions League. That's what it's about. It's about putting those brands in front of people in the most glamorous thing you can do, like that Champions League final or whatever the Saudi Arabian team is going to do. I'm not sure, but it's about World Cup. It's about competing in the region. People don't know this, but Qatar and Saudi Arabia are not friends. And the fact that Qatar had the World Cup and Saudi Arabia didn't is a big deal. And they will want to compete and say, F you, Qatar, we're going to get the Premier League. So, we're going to get the World Cup and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that is under the surface that's like deep rooted things. And we're just looking at it on the surface, but there's other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. So you got some information about Guardiola, man. What's happening there with Manchester City?
Oh, Guardiola. So if you watch the World Cup and you remember,
he's
a young center back out of that Croatia was really good again.
Yeah.
He was the midfielder stepping out, defending anything. Guardiola, he is a young center back, big, tall, strong, very John Stones-ish, if you will. He plays for RB Leipzig, who are another team that's a good model, good young players getting bought.
They got too many of them, man. They got too many.
Talk about Nkunku. Right. They're doing the right thing. They've got a vertically integrated thing where they can start a guy out at RB Leipzig RB Salzburg, and move them to RB Leipzig. Yeah. Which is the next level up.
And the New
Guardiola is going to come to City. He's agreed to personal terms. So now it's about finding
club to club. Now,
the correct number.
what I could find on that was that basically Leipzig wants him to be the highest paid transfer in their history, which
Yeah,
they want
want to do $100 million.
They want 100 million.
Yeah,
And City has offered 75 up to 80. So they're kind of it's a distance when it comes to money. But do you really think that it will be an issue, or you think that City is going to do it?
City put a number out. They have it in their head. If it goes over, they will walk. That's how they do it.
They did it on Declan Rice.
They walked, exactly.
Yeah.
City are very clear about their valuations. If the number is there, if there's a number and there's an escape clause, they'll buy him out. That's fine. But if they're gonna buy a player and they value him at X and someone goes $10-15 million over it, they do not panic. It's very well run. Like we would have had Harry Maguire. We had a value at 70 million, and United were like, we're gonna pay 89, and they were like, okay, see you later. Enjoy Harry Maguire. So I'm sure he'd like to come, but if the number isn't right, City will walk away.
Oh, he
They
wants
have
to
no
go.
problem.
He wants to go to City for sure. But
Yes, he does.
We'll see. And so, just a little update on the Declan Rice. Because people today were saying that he's not going to Arsenal anymore, and it is not true. It's pretty much well cooked.
Yeah, it's done.
They're just basically working on how
Haggling.
often. Yeah, just terms. So people be patient. He's going to be an Arsenal player. Mount is going to get. He's got a medical, or he had a medical today, or if I'm not mistaken, and he is obviously a Manchester United signing. The saga is over. He's not.
I don't think Mount changes their trajectory, but he raises the floor. So for United, it's about depth and lifting up their worst performances. With Rice, I think he lifts Arsenal's best performances, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like Rice is much more of a floor raiser and potential raiser, where Mount, I don't think United can be much better because they were way over their head. But I think Mount stops those 7-0s. Mount stops those really bad performances where you're like, what team is this United team that's getting the doors blown off them? I think Mount prevents those types of things.
Another player that's sounding for Arsenal is actually Ferland Mendy from Real Madrid, but Ancelotti has said doesn't have any intentions of selling him. Arsenal with this, if this is true, Arsenal is getting stacked. I mean, Declan Rice, you got Havertz, which people talk crap on, but just like you mentioned earlier, nobody in Chelsea played good.
Nope.
And so
tough team to play in.
Yeah, and so I mean the Gunners are actually pretty, they're spending it.
I think they're really putting an effort forward. I think it will be a very, very good. It's been a very good window for Arsenal. I think, Rice and Havertz alone, when you're at the level that they're at. So one of the things I talked about a long time ago is there's a level you have to get to, get to that 70 to 75 point range. And that costs a certain amount of money. Then there's the next level to get from 75 to 85. That's a price of money. The thing is, as you get higher, the cost of getting another point becomes exponential, right? To get to a team that can score 95 points in a season, those last 5 points to win that title cost 200 million, right? And it might only be 2 players that you have to spend 200 million, and you got to get them right. And if they've identified Rice as a guy who's lifting that team, that'll take them from 85 to 89, 90 points, if they're lucky, 93. And Havertz is identified as a guy who gives them that little bit of depth and quality that they had to pay 75, 60 million pounds for. Those are the moments, right? Liverpool did this, right? We're good. We're at 80 points. We're going to spend $150 million on just Van Dijk and Alisson, right? And those are the moments that really change your team. And I still think Arsenal are a center back away, and I don't trust Ramsdale. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't think Ramsdale is a Premier League winning goalkeeper. Sorry. He's too weird. He's too erratic.
Well, we'll see what happens with the Mendy situation. I don't think he'll go to Arsenal, but you never know. By the way, Gerrard's team is he wants to sign Coutinho and Morata. Alvaro Morata, that
Good.
is.
Enjoy it.
So I think both. I
Sign
think they'll.
Coutinho again. The guy who basically got you fired because he couldn't play and you insisted on playing him. Good luck, Gerrard. This is your weakness. You're going to lose your
Coutinho.
career because you keep signing fucking Philip Coutinho, who's washed up. Done.
Yeah. Has he played good for Aston Villa this last season?
No, he didn't play at all one game.
Dang, that's crazy.
Because he plays a position that doesn't exist anymore. Where are these like free roaming number 10s?
Yeah, no,
they're gone. Right?
That's
no
gone,
Ozils. Yeah. No. Who's the other guy? Who's that really handsome guy who went from Malaga to Real Madrid for 10 years and he just never played anymore? With the beard. I can't remember his name. Anyway,
well, Riquelme, there's no Riquelme. There's no.
No. They're all gone.
Marcelo Gallardo, there was another 10. It's hard. There's a lot of.
I can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember.
Yep. So he's looking for Coutinho and Alvaro Morata. I mean, just he just hasn't been that good. I mean,
those are losing players, frankly, to me.
They'll probably go to Saudi Arabia. To be honest with you,
enjoy. Please enjoy.
They'll try to get that last bit, of money they can get.
Enjoy.
Lavia also sounded for Liverpool, even though he sounded for Arsenal heavily. So at this point, I don't really know what's going to happen with Romeo Lavia. And
Lavia is not a starter. He's too young. He's not.
He had a good season, man, with Southampton. He had a really.
He's good. But I don't. I don't want to. And I don't. And the reason why I say it is because these young players that have really good seasons that you really like and you enjoy, they tend not to be able to break through. Like I loved Carvalho for Liverpool last year. Too slight, too little, not ready. He just ended up. They just shipped him off to Leipzig already, right? Only 18 years old, had a 10-10 season with Fulham, and they bought him, and now they can't use him. So I'm less inclined. I loved Basuma when he was at Brighton, central midfielder, similar to Lavia, on the ball, good in the tackle, good runner, making the right touches. They just don't get the burn, and it's too hard to make those moves. So I will reserve my judgment on Lavia if he becomes a starter because if you remember Renato Sanchez, everyone loved him with Portugal. Yeah. He goes and plays in the Premier League. He barely plays. It takes him years to he goes to Bayern Munich and he never can really get in. So it can be tough when you get that move as a young player to break in, and you've got to have the right mentality. And when you think about someone like Camavinga or Tchouaméni, those are special players, or Bellingham, those young players that do lower club with the playing time and then step up and play. It's really hard. So I reserve judgment on Lavia. I like him too, but I don't think he'll play.
I think he'd be a good addition just to extend the team.
To have him for sure.
So
yeah,
I think we'll see where it goes. Do you think which team do you think he'll go to? Liverpool, or I think Liverpool can spend it, but
Lavia feels to me. Lavia is not ready for Liverpool. He would sit. He won't play. They're trying to get as many midfielders as they can, but they've already got McAllister. We haven't talked about Szoboszlai yet. They've already got Szoboszlai. They've already got they've got Gakpo, who essentially is going to play in the midfield. He'll drop in, right? He's not really a traditional 9. Then you still have Henderson. It looks like Thiago's out, but he's not going to play anymore. They did clear out a couple others, so maybe Lavia, but Lavia would be the 5th midfielder of their 3.
You mean Arsenal?
I mean Liverpool.
Oh, Liverpool. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then with Arsenal, he would also be the 5th midfielder, right? Because they still have Xhaka, as far as I know.
Well, they still Rice.
They still have Partey, as far as I know. So it would be Odegaard, Rice, Xhaka, Odegaard, Rice. Who's the other midfielder? So Havertz playing the midfield deep.
Oh yeah,
as like the 2-8 thing, try and do what City do. So it's unknown, but City have 6 midfielders, so you might need 6 to do the Champions League and do all that stuff. But I do worry for a young player like Lavia on any of those teams playing in the Champions League to get their feet wet. If he played 20 games, that would be a good season. That would be my guess with him. Unless he breaks through, unless he's one of these special players and he completely changes the way things go. I don't care where he goes because City have the sell on, so whoever he gets sold to,
you get money for it. Now Liverpool just signed Dominic. How do you say his last name? Szoboszlai. And he's a good signing also from Leipzig.
He's really good. He's really good.
they paid for him,
They
but
did. Now the issue with him is these German players. These players in the German league. I think one thing we always have to remember is, I believe the Bundesliga is the highest scoring league, and everyone sort of plays the same way. It is a high press, counter-attacking league, and because of the nature of Germany and the way Germans are, when they have a system, everyone plays the same way. So it used to be they all played freaking with a sweeper. That was all German, and they play it great. Like, they work hard at it. They
it's easy
perfect
to
it. They
join another
do very
club in
German.
Germany
Yes,
and
you can
adapt to
move,
it.
and it's no big deal. But those players, when they come, we look at Havertz, we look at Werner, we look at Keita, who came from Germany as well. Now, granted, there are players, Holland breaks the whole mold, right? Or
Yeah.
Bellingham breaks the whole mold, fine. But it does matter. You have really got to get your scouting right and make sure the player that you're going to grab has more talent than just the stats. It's got to be a little bit more depth. Now, Slobozai, we did see in the Euros for Holland. He's their for Hungary. He's their main guy. He does get the ball a lot, and he's a big, silky midfielder. He'll play deeper, try and get in the box, score goals. An incredible free kick taker, just over the top. A lover of Steven Gerrard, as we know. He's got the tattoo. He's taking the number 8. So they're putting a lot of investment and pressure on him. But it is a good window for Liverpool, who we know had to rebuild. They needed new bodies, and it'll sort out. They'll figure out who the player is. It may still be Henderson in big games, but now Henderson doesn't have to play 38 games, doesn't have to play all 90 minutes. They'll have options. Klopp's got to get these guys to get into that, we go to war, we're heavy metal. This is, we need to press, get that defense back up the field so that they can have that high line, get Allison flying out, because all that stuff broke down, right? Once they weren't able to press from the front anymore and Firmino left, then the midfield was half a step slow, then the defense was half a step slow, and you could get in behind. So they've got to compress that whole thing, keep that thing moving, and Klopp's got to get his new guys to have that energy again. Look at me scouting Liverpool. You see how much I hate
that's
them?
it. You. I feel like you're a fan, man. I feel like you're a fan. By the way, Fabrizio
I have watched more Liverpool. I have watched more Liverpool than my own team. Trust me.
Fabrizio Romano confirms that Jurriën Timber is an all but done move to Arsenal. Yet, so we'll the. I mean, this is
I don't
this is
know
a good
him.
player.
What's his story?
Well, he plays in Eredivisie. So it's kind of tough because it's not a league that you can say, okay, listen, they've been playing good or Champions
So
League experience, so you know what I mean. So I got my son here. He's playing in the background. So
that's
I'm gonna let you keep talking on the transfer on what's going on in transfer.
yeah.
And
So
then
I'm just looking up his stats. So he's a center back, not too big, not a giant one, but probably a ball player that he can sort of put in as a backup, score some goals there. Trained in the Ajax way. They had a terrible season. They already fired their coach. But he looks like a winner. His FB ref scouting is off the charts. Like, he's literally the best passer that has ever passed the ball in the league, and his he's up there with the best in the league. But we know that the Eredivisie is now the 5th ranked league in the world. But what I worry about with these players that come from these top level lower leagues is, you're good on the ball because you at Ajax have the ball the whole time. But can you defend? What happens when you're under pressure? How do you play when you don't have the ball? This is the question I have. If you think about other center backs from the Dutch league, how do you play when you don't have the ball? Lissandro Martinez, thank God, he's a great player. We saw him be able to adapt from the Dutch league. But, inside of him is an Argentinian, right? This is a Dutch player playing in the Dutch league as the best Dutch player. His whole career has been through the Dutch. So does he have the fight? Does he have the level of getting stuck in? When you play in England, you've got to have Englishness in your heart. And without it, you're going to have a hard time doing the best you can. Okay, so that's my take on Mr. Tigris. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming from Magic, obviously a big club, but even though it's a big
They
club,
have the ball 80% of the time. Can he defend? I have no
of
idea.
of every single game, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it's believed that the next 48 hours are key to either if he comes to Arsenal or not. Like I said, we've been talking about
Mm.
Arsenal. I've been going through the Sun right here, and I mean it has Arsenal all over transfer news, and they're looking for this player, they're looking for that player. So Arsenal is really they're busy, man. They're trying to get it done.
It's good. It's good. Listen. I'm happy for it. I think this is what we all want, right? We all want a competitive league that's pushing itself. I think a team that we haven't discussed and does not show up in the news because they're not the biggest club in the world, but Aston Villa, Unai Emery, stealth. They've got Monchi. They're grabbing players left and right. They got Pau Torres, man. Pau Torres is like
Yeah,
the center back starting for Spain is playing at Aston Villa. That's insane.
Aston Villa, one of the
They
biggest
got
clubs in England.
they got Tielemans. No problem. Tielemans, a player that Arsenal were like, please let me have Tielemans. Please, please, please. You think Emery's not going to unlock that? Oh my God. I would be worried if I were Spurs, if I was Chelsea. I think that Aston Villa have every ounce of a shot to finish in a European spot. They did already this season. Never Unai Emery. Good evening. We're coming for your children. Aston Villa, be on the lookout. That is a
Um,
good side who's secretly making moves, man. Good
and
side. Really like them a lot.
Granit Xhaka will finally complete his long-awaited move to Bayern Leverkusen this week after Arsenal agreed on a
Oh, he is going. Okay, that's big.
21
Mhm.
million pounds fee
Yeah.
that Leverkusen is going to pay for Xhaka. So another, I mean, so
What a
again,
what a story for
they're
Shaka. The
busy.
ups and downs, right? Remember, he cursed
Yeah.
out the fans. He gets sent off. Then he was the captain. Then he's like has this incredible resurgence season. He gets to leave Arsenal
Yeah.
as a loved player, and I think that when he comes back, they'll appreciate him.
But I mean, they cost them 30 million pounds, so I mean, they didn't lose much. They're selling them for 21. I mean, nine or 8.5 million. But I mean, if he came in 2016, and that's a long time
Yep.
right now. I mean,
Hmm.
so he wasn't able to become the player that everybody had hoped for. So really, that's actually
But
smart transfers too. Smart moves. If it doesn't work, sell him. Get a new one. You're a club that
well,
have the
especially
expectation, man.
he's in his 30s now.
Yeah.
I think he's just a player who showed up at the wrong time. He's in the down. He's post Wenger. I think he may have been one of the last Wenger players there. Just he's just in a time when he's not going to have a chance to shine. He was never really put in a position to succeed as that last defender. He got there. He was never athletic enough around and stop break up attacks. So he'd always get run past, and he'd invariably foul someone and pick up one yellow too many, and just always be on the verge of getting sent off. But always a good leader. And I think once Arteta came there and they figured out that they needed to have someone deeper, getting Partey, letting Shaka be a step or two or a couple yards higher, let him show what he could do. And I thought he was good last season. Scored almost 10 goals, I think.
As far as last but not least on the transfer side, what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting on Manchester United, Inter Milan has declined the offer that United sent. It wasn't enough for
Oh,
Onana,
God.
and De Gea has an offer for the Saudi league. Obviously, going to leave United, and they're looking at a goalkeeper from FC Porto, born in Switzerland, but he obviously has ties in Portugal. It's FC Porto's goalkeeper Diogo something, and he's definitely not Onana. So I mean, if it doesn't go well with Onana, who in the hell are they going to get? Because they need to get a starter.
They'll just go back out with De Gea.
You think they're going to?
It's
I
not
think the head's too pissed off. Well, they might not be actually.
what from the time that he sent a fax machine to Real Madrid and they missed the transfer,
Yeah.
and he came back and he played. He was the player of the year. I just don't. I think goalkeepers are weird. They'll play. There's only so many jobs. You're alone. Like if they don't
Well,
sign anyone, Ten Hag will just go, ahead, back out there, Big Dave. Get back there.
He's
But
he's gonna have to make a really, really big decision. Ten Hag will. I mean, De Gea's contract expires this weekend.
oh,
So
I thought they had one. I thought he had one signed and they rescinded it, or something ridiculous like that.
yeah,
Like a
but
major pay cut. Yeah. The
so
thing is that there are guys. It's a goalkeeper. Just get one. They're out there, right?
dang,
Like,
dang man,
no, it's,
you don't like goalkeepers? You don't think they're that important?
they're important when they fuck up, but once
Nah,
you have a
oh,
good
you're
one,
crazy.
you keep them.
When well, what's his name?
Listen, when you have a bad one, you know it.
well, I know from Liverpool that Karius is infamous
Oh, that was bad.
because of that. But he never
No,
played.
but I understand. I
No,
understand.
they're
What I'm
good.
saying is
They're
like,
important, man. Stop playing.
no. I understand. I understand that they're important, and it's great when you have a great one, and it makes a huge difference. Like I think about Allison all the time. He's like saves Liverpool's ass. It makes me crazy
Yeah.
to watch. This guy is just saving your ass. You suck. Anyway, and then Ederson with the passes that just he's doing Cruyff turns on the freaking goal line, just like. But when you have a bad one, like I remember Leicester last year with their guy just making mistakes and wouldn't come for crosses and flapping at balls, like you can tell when it's bad. But what I think about is like you have Bono out in Spain, you could just grab him. He'd be a stopgap goalkeeper. He's out there.
Yeah,
He's available.
you're right.
Just buy him. Or
I don't think. I'm sure he doesn't.
Dean Henderson or like you think Keylor isn't available, you could just go to Nottingham Forest and just buy him. You think United would be bad with Keylor Navas? No, he'd be great, right? You know what I mean? Like they're out there, right? They're available. You can always just get a good keeper who's not going to hurt you, right? And it'll be a stopgap. He's not a Champions League level, win everything kind of guy, but you can get a keeper, right?
So
or you just keep Dave.
Yeah. I think that could be a smart move. Just so if the next one doesn't work, then you have to buy one next year. You know what I'm saying? So I think you know what you get. So maybe just extend it for another year. I don't know if he'll do that, but it's kind of. I mean, or put in the money.
Or
but
even
one thing
they could get freaking Lloris. I'm sure he's available, right? Even if Oldham broke down for Spurs.
Actually, Tottenham. He's one of the players that Tottenham wanted to get rid of. Yeah, so
yeah, I think he already went. Yeah.
So now, Manchester United has it clear they can't buy Onana and Kane at the same time, even though Kane sounds for Bayern Munich pretty heavily right now. So
why can't they?
According, that's the budget, man. The budget says they can't afford. Which Onana's being sold for like close to 70 million, I think. So that's what Inter Milan wants, I believe, or a little bit more. But so they can't can't buy more than one quote unquote superstar for the club, which is sad because United, should have that luxury.
Whatever.
You don't believe that?
That club they're the worst run big club in the world. I don't think it's even close.
Accordingly, they're the ones that are worth.
They can't get. No, I know. That's what I mean. The only thing that keeps that club from not falling apart is they're living on the work that they're living on their brand. They're living on the work that Ferguson did. Otherwise, and then to be fair, Ten Hag has done an amazing job. And now that I look back, a lot of those managers did great jobs. I think Mourinho did a great job. Van Gaal did a great job. All those coaches that made it look like they were bad, they did amazing jobs. That club is rotten at the head. Still, until the Glazers leave, they're not winning anything.
Gabri Veiga is sounding for Manchester City. In a lot of clubs in Europe, including Liverpool. Yeah, man, I'm reading it right now. Gabri Veiga
is signing.
No, he's
done?
sounding heavily for Manchester City and Liverpool.
Yeah, into that. The big there is that his release cost is really low. It's only 40 million.
He's 21, which is crazy because most of those players have 1,000 million pounds.
Yeah, and I had a little video look at him. He looks like one of those classic Spanish midfielders, good on the turn, gets out of trouble on those half turns from the defense and brings it upfield. Good shots, will get in the box, get some headed goals, scored a lot of goals for for Celta Vigo. I don't understand why they would sell him, especially Rafa Benitez just took over the Celta Vigo job. I'm sure he'd like to keep him, but if he wants to go, he would be really, really good. I think City. I don't think it makes sense for City
Well,
right
could he be?
now.
Could he be kind of to fill in the hole of Gundogan? I
No, that's
mean,
Kovacic. Kovacic is going to take that job
okay.
because he's awesome already.
Coaches is good. I
I'm
don't
just
know. I never understood why they sold him from Real Madrid and also why he left
because he
Chelsea.
missed the FA Cup because he missed the Copa del Rey game when they didn't register him and they were like, "Oh, he's an idiot," so they fired him.
Yeah, and from Chelsea either. I just never. But we talked about Chelsea. Yeah, and we don't understand really what's going on with that club
Yeah,
either on a lot of decisions.
it's a little bit strange.
Okay, so Mason Mount's
Yeah,
going. What else?
I do like he looked really good. I mean, he just got all those turns, got all the moves, got everything that you'd want. Really looked good, especially from those deep positions, carrying the ball forward. From a comparison point, if Premier League fan, he reminds me of Eze from Crystal Palace. That kind of dynamic, energetic, young, bring the ball from deep, can score a goal kind of guy who can win you a game, right? From the midfield. If you checked out Eze at all from Palace, he's the best comp that you can find for a type of player. Like watching the video, looking at the stats, really thinking about it, very similar players, but 3 years younger and has good size, big kid, 5'11" in field, 180, 170 pounds, big guy. So
All
good
right.
player.
Well, that's basically what's going on right now. Tonali was, it's official. He's going to
Signed.
Newcastle, even though we already
See
talked
him.
about it
I
last
don't
week.
know about. I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't depth of understand what his role was at AC Milan. I know that they were a defensive team, and I'm not sure what their deal is about letting him go. Is Tonali gonna be the one who sits deeper, and then
Yeah, he's kind of a Pirlo.
Bruno will be the one who comes forward because Bruno felt like he had to run a lot.
Tonali is basically young Pirlo, so.
But can tackle? Can he do more than that?
Well, I mean, he's going to. He's not a Pirlo. He's not going to be defensive, like ultra defensive. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
he has an idea when he gets the ball, and he knows how to, share it. And I don't know if he can score free kicks like Pirlo did, but
yeah,
I think he's a good signing. I think Newcastle are doing,
it's another
smart
one.
thing.
It's another one of those good moves. Like Newcastle's
Yeah,
really building slowly, getting like a really good player instead of trying like scattergun, try and grab guys.
exactly.
I do want to bring up that one player. You have a note here about Rasmus Højlund, and I looked him up.
Oh
And I
yeah,
checked him out. I don't think he's good. So I was looking at it, all his touches, and he kind of is this sort of big, 6'2" center forward type. Really took a lot of passes at the edge of the box, turned, laid him off, got into the box. But then I looked at the 9 goals he scored in Serie A for Atalanta. They were all against bottom level teams. So if I were United and the price was too high, I would wait because I want to see it another season. I don't trust it.
and well, I had it right here too. Is Garnacho going to be the next star for Manchester United, taking over at number 10? He's been hinting that he wants to be that guy. I'm not sure that it's that hard to be that guy with this team, but
So I really like Garnacho. The only thing I worried about is to be dyeing your hair blonde. I wasn't ready. Like score some bigger goals.
and then you do that.
Keep your hair chill. Like don't go for the blonde yet. You're not there yet. Like you got to be a full-time regular before you start flaring. You got to be like, yo, I'm on my first name on the name sheet. Right, it's coming off the bench. Now you're gonna come off the bench blonde hair. You're not ready for blonde hair. You should have kept your boy hair, kept your boy band looks. But every time he came on, I was afraid. Like he's really, really good.
Yeah,
He's got that nice youthful exuberance. I guess the question is does he have nuance to his game of control? I think one of the things that
Yeah,
any
he goes.
United fan will admit is that team never could control games.
Yeah,
And
he
if
goes 1,000
Garnacho's in
miles
the
per hour.
side, exactly. Is Garnacho always going to try and take someone on and push and lose the ball sometimes and put United in dangerous positions where they have to defend the counterattack? And I'm
Right.
sure that Ten Hag is like, you know what? Take it easy. If you don't have a chance, just take it down a notch. So he'll keep coming off the bench until United can control games a little bit better. But they were always at their best counterattacking. They really still have a hard time when they have to control games.
All right. Well, we'll
Now
see what
Garnacho's
happens with
that.
Garnacho and Manchester United. That's kind of what we have right now at this point for this
All
show.
right.
Inter Miami is probably looking to sign Sergio Ramos, which, I mean, dang, man. Well, I wish he would have ended it in Real Madrid, but of course, not going to happen. But hey, they're building a super old team. Inter Miami, man. But Beckham actually went out and talked about today, I think, on how it went down with Messi. I didn't actually get to see.
Yo,
That's why we didn't have it on. But
how are those old dudes gonna play when
hey,
they
man, I think they'll be able to do it in the
away
MLS.
in Kansas City in the summer and it's 110 degrees on the pitch, when they're
Yeah,
playing at home in Miami and it's 85 degrees with 100% humidity? These dudes are not ready for
they're
that.
not
When
ready
you have
for
viejos playing, they're going to have a heart attack on the
it.
field. It's one thing he's standing still because that's his thing. Busquets has to move. Ramos has to move. This league is not a joke. You need to be physically fit. Maybe the technical skills aren't there from MLS.
Yeah,
We
that's
can
true.
say all the things we want about MLS. It's a physically difficult
Yeah,
league to play in,
that is true.
right?
Actually,
Just from the elements, just from that, before anything else happens. Just the fact that it's in the United States
I
and
mean,
it's hot.
you can go you can go to Minnesota where it's going to be freezing and come right back home and it's going to be blazing hot, which is unheard of. So we'll see.
And that team
We'll see what
is
happens.
terrible.
Yeah, well,
They're
their last,
awful.
but I think that's going to be fixed with. I mean, they're going to win games. So
I certainly hope so.
yeah, no, I
They
don't think.
can pay.
But see, that's the thing. Like they don't even they just join. They don't. They're not even paying attention really to that. I mean, I was going to talk about this the last episode, but I just feel this fan. I mean, traveled over 1,200 miles to see Messi, and he didn't even know that he wasn't here yet. So, like, are we that far behind in like? Because I try to defend everybody in the U.S. Like, listen, we know about football, and then this happens. How do you know with one of the most known players in history of football, especially today, that he is not ready to play, and you spend all the money? That's your money, whatever. But it's made it top of the story. You know what I mean?
People are dumb. We never underestimate the stupidity of humans.
But okay, we're gonna blame it on humans and not MLS fans. Okay, it's not just MLS.
I'm blaming it on holier than thou Liverpool fans.
Oh hell
And then
no, hell
that's how we're
no.
gonna wrap the show up.
Okay, well
Bingo.
that is it for this show. Please consider subscribing on Spotify, on YouTube. You can go visit my man Laurent's podcast as well. What's your podcast, man? Tell him.
The Squeaky Bum Time podcast. You just Squeaky
He
Bum Time. It's the first
he
podcast
picked
you'll
an
find.
English phrase for an American. That makes it makes a lot of sense.
That's
But
what
it's
I
good.
know, man.
But it's good.
I know more football than English people, and you guys can yell at me in the comments because I know you guys don't know as much as I do.
All right, man. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
That was the Squeaky Bum Time podcast with Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Channel and presented exclusively by the Premier Streaming Network. We record on Mondays and Thursdays, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show so that we can grow. Thanks to Christopher for bringing the show together, and we will see you next Monday for more football news and transfers.